Now, babe, I need you to use your mind's eye.
What's that?
I need you to picture something for me.
All right.
Well, picture this. This is the spot where medieval London Bridge would stretch across the River Thames. Medieval London Bridge had maybe 140 shops, homes, buildings, chapels, inns. Maybe in its heyday, 800 people lived on this bridge.
Lived on it?
Lived on the bridge. The buildings sort of arched over the bridge. It would be like one long tunnel stretching 900 feet across the river.
Wow.
It was like a whole neighborhood, but like a suburb in the stream, in the river.
That's so cool.
It's bloody cool. I honestly, babe, I yearn for medieval London Bridge.
I'm sure it was a lot prettier than this one.
Oh God, this is a piece of garbage. It was built in the 60s.
That's why everyone
brutalist
thinks
architecture
that
wasn't
Tower
one.
Bridge is London Bridge.
But if we had medieval London Bridge, there would be no confusion.
Yeah.
All the tourists would be getting selfies on medieval London Bridge, though they'd probably have to watch out for the heads of the traitors that were stuck on spikes above there.
Oh dear.
I know. That's another story which I will get to. There's a lot to tell here, but I want to show you some clues of where old medieval London Bridge would have been.
Ooh.
So follow me, follow me.
Right. Mind the construction.
Tell you what, I mind the bloody construction. It's been bloody noisy.
Hey.
Hey, you are looking very good, I ain't gonna lie.
Thank you.
Slay. Slay. Best bridge in the world. Best bridge in history.
Medieval London
Medieval
Bridge.
London. Okay, babe, so this is St. Magnus the Martyr's Church, and I need you to use your mind's eye again, all right?
All right.
Because you've got to picture this, because old medieval London Bridge would have been the entranceway right here, the pedestrian footpath, if you will.
Wow.
Because London Bridge was built about 45 metres to the east where it is today.
Right.
So it actually, the main thoroughfare would have been Fish Hill Street, or Fish Street Hill, up towards the monument, running down here through St. Magnus the Martyr's, in front of St. Magnus the Martyr's, and all the way across the river. So you can imagine in olden times, this would have been
very busy.
Very busy, very popular church.
Yeah.
Actually, when the church isn't shut, like it is on Saturdays, there is a lovely model inside of the church of medieval London Bridge. But yeah, St. Magnus the Martyr's Church was actually rebuilt after the Great Fire of London. Do you remember that? We did a video on that?
Yes, I
remember.
remember.
Because we're right next to Pudding Lane here, St. Magnus the Martyr's Church was one of the first casualties of that fire. So when it was rebuilt in this lovely stone, I think it was by Christopher Wren, they built this archway that became the pedestrian entrance to medieval London Bridge. So you've got to imagine, just over here would have been all the traffic, all the carts, all the humdrum of the market traders going down towards the river. But I think, babe, we need to get onto modern London Bridge, and I can give you some more details about some things that happened there, like medieval jousting, battles. There was also an elephant as well. I've got to tell you about that. So let's go. So they started building the bridge in around 1176 under the reign of Henry II Plantagenet. And he set up an organisation called the Brethren of the Bridge, which is a rather splendid name for any organisation. And they were a sort of monastic order that would oversee the construction of the bridge, led by a chap called Peter Colechurch. And it took them like 30 odd years to build it. It was they didn't actually finish it until 1209, and in the reign of bad King John.
Taxes, beautiful, lovely taxes.
Bad King John?
Yeah, no, that's another story, babe.
Oh.
It was very bad. We don't like King John. But yeah, they opened the bridge in 1209, and Peter of Colechurch was actually buried on the bridge.
Wow.
I know. That's pretty cool, right? So yeah, he was buried on the bridge in the chapel that was actually in the centre of the bridge, which is really, really cool. But then the really crazy thing is, they finished building it in 1209, and guess what happened in 1212?
What?
There was a bloody fire. Oh. There's always fires.
There's always fires.
There's always fires.
Which is weird because England is very wet.
Yes, normally. We have inclement weather. Very astute of you, baby, to point that out. But yeah, no, this is the great fire that nobody knows about. This was the fire that started in Southwark, which is the south side of the river there, and it spread, catching London Bridge. And because all the buildings were so packed together, it
just took them all out.
Took them all out,
oh,
and then it went north of the river. And you know how we did a video on the Great Fire of London, and the miracle of that was that hardly anybody died?
Right. Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Maybe there was one historian I saw a quote of maybe 3,000 people died in that fire.
Wow.
And all the buildings would have been destroyed on the bridge, but the bridge itself did survive because it was made out of stone. But yeah, it would have been pandemonium along here with all the bridge on fire, the houses falling down, and people couldn't swim in those days.
Why
So
not?
I don't know, but they couldn't swim. They didn't have time for leisure, maybe.
All right.
But they couldn't swim, and you know there would have been people trying to jump into the boats overturning. It was a real catastrophe.
Oh dear.
So yeah, that happened within 3 years of the bridge grand opening. But guess what?
What?
They rebuilt it all.
Oh, of course.
Of course. But interesting, babe. Do you know why they built buildings on London Bridge?
No, I've been wondering that actually.
Well, I'll tell you. The rent that those buildings paid, like the shopkeepers and
Yeah.
the homes, paid for the construction, helped pay for the maintenance of the bridge.
Right.
So quite smart.
That is smart.
And you know what's another interesting fact? Do you know how they actually paid for the bridge originally? Do you know what our big cash crop was back in the day? I don't know if you can call it a crop.
No.
But wool.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Right.
we were big into sheep. Yeah,
Love it.
We love, like, honestly, Henry II raised a special tax on wool to help pay for the bridge in the first instance.
Wow.
So
All
thanks to Bar Black Sheep, we had medieval London Bridge.
Buffy.
Oh, very good.
You're squinting a lot. Do you want to wear those?
One day I'd like to forget my sunglasses. Are they good?
Oh, you
They good?
look
Can I wear
great.
All right, babe. So my favourite thing that ever happened on the bridge was a medieval jousting competition.
Oh.
I know, you'd love a medieval joust. You
Maybe.
would. You would. You'd be a fair maid and people would be jousting for your favour, babe.
Oh, you think so?
I know so.
Oh, thank
if,
you.
if I was a knight, I would joust for you.
Oh, wow.
I tell you what. Anyway,
A
don't
history
distract me.
husband's compliment.
Oh yeah. But anyway, yeah. So this was a site of, well, it was almost like, if you want to think about it like this, the first international match between England and Scotland.
Right.
So there were two knights. The Scottish knight was a guy called Sir John Lindsay, and the
Okay.
English knight was Baron de Wells or de Wells.
Right.
And they had a falling out after a lot of wine was drunken one night.
Yeah.
And there was a dispute about who had the braver knights, you know,
Okay.
England or Scotland.
Okay.
And so they challenged each other to a duel, and not just any duel, babe.
Yeah.
A duel to the death.
Oh no.
Yeah, so you know,
Why are they going to do that?
because you know chivalry. This is like 1390. This is the age of peak medieval
Right,
chivalry. So
alright.
honour, losing face, all those things, you know, it counted for a lot.
Yeah.
So anyway, they challenged each other for a duel, and the location was medieval London Bridge,
Wow.
right here, 1390. All the great and the good of both realms were here, including King Richard II, and they were cheering on their boys. And they passed each other. I don't know if you've ever seen a medieval joust or a
I don't think so,
But you
no.
know, they got the lances and they passed each other twice.
Right.
And neither of them were unhorsed. But on the third occasion, the Scottish bloke, Sir Lindsay, unhorsed the English champion. So the guy fell out of his horse.
Wow.
And obviously the home crowd, the English crowd, was like, oh, whoa, they suspected foul play. They thought the Lindsay hadn't
So they're
been for-
sore losers.
Yeah, you could say that. But
I
they-
would say England are
I
still
saw,
sore
okay,
losers.
well, I couldn't, whatever. Anyway, but the crowd, they wondered if De Lindsay had strapped himself to the horse, which was against the rules.
Right.
So to prove that he hadn't, De Lindsay jumped up in his stirrups, full plate armour, and leaped out of the saddle and landed on the ground.
prove it.
To prove it,
Wow.
that he was an honourable man.
Yeah.
But anyway, the fight was not over, it continued. Now they were fighting on foot, hand-to-hand mortal combat, you know, really going at each other. And it ended up in a bit of a wrestling match on the floor with daggers drawn, and De Lindsay got the upper hand, and he was about gonna, you know, administer the coup de grace, which is French for
The death.
the mortal blow, I believe. I don't speak
okay.
French, but I imagine so.
I've not gotten that far in my Duolingo.
Maybe Duolingo will sponsor this. Anyway, but yes, he was about to administer the coup de grace, but he thought, you know what? I'm going to spare his life. I'm going to give him mercy.
Right.
And he did. And you know what? There is a.
Wow.
I know.
What a nice Scotsman.
What very nice Scot. Best, you know, they are nice people up there.
They are.
there is a good happy ending to the story.
Okay.
They became friends.
Oh.
Yeah, I
well,
mean,
if you spare someone's life in a duel to the death,
then
I would
then
I
you'd
would be
think that-
friends with them, I think.
apparently the Wells was quite badly beaten up afterwards, and he had to spend
Yeah.
a bit of time recovering.
Right.
But de Lindsay stayed in London and helped help him recover.
They've got to know it's not personal.
It's not. It's all.
right?
It's all honour. It's all chivalry. It's you know. But yeah, how about that?
Wow.
I think we should bring back jousting on London Bridge.
Yeah, maybe not to the death though.
Well, maybe not, but you know, accidents do happen, babe.
They do.
So one of the really cool things about old medieval London Bridge is that it had 19 arches. 19, can you believe that?
Wow.
So that was a lot.
Underneath.
Underneath, yeah.
Right,
Just
okay,
like where
right.
that, you see where that boat is going down there?
Yep.
Through the arch? Well, there was 19,
19
of them.
They
And
must have been really skinny.
they were very, just like you, babe. Now, but because there were so many, it actually had an effect on the flow of the river. It almost formed
Right.
a weir in the river. So the water to the west was like 6 feet higher than the water to the east.
Interesting.
And it's had a big effect. The watermen were very nervous about going through the arches. It was called shooting the arch or shooting
Okay.
the bridge.
Well, yeah.
And it was very dangerous. So a lot of passengers actually alighted before they came under the river.
Right.
But the interesting thing about this is that back in the day, it was actually a lot colder than it was today. It was
really?
called the mini ice age.
Well, that makes
And
sense,
London, the Thames would actually freeze so solid that you could actually walk an elephant across.
Whoa.
I know. In 1814, the last time the river froze, they actually walked an elephant across from Blackfriars
Why?
across the river.
Why?
Because you can. Just because you can.
Just because you could. That's an excellent use of free will.
It's an excellent use of free will, indeed. The elephant, does the elephant have free will? I'm not so sure. But because when the Thames froze, you had these things called Thames frost fairs, and you'd love this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like a medieval
Imagine winter wonderland on the river. There would be markets, there'd be people selling like gingerbread, really strong
Mulled
gin.
wine.
Yeah, the big instances that we know about are like 1683, there was a big frost fair, 1814. The ice was so thick that they could play games like 9-pin bowling, which is
Wow.
pretty cool. They
Yeah.
could sled, they could skate, and
That
also
sounds so fun.
that is so much fun. You know what also would have been fun?
What?
Was a sport they called cock throwing.
What? They just chuck chickens across the ice.
No, the other way around. They would strap
What? The chickens would chuck the
No,
humans
no, no. They
across
would
the-
take a cockerel and they would strap the cockerel to a post, and then
What is
they'd
that? A cockerel?
a cockerel's a male chicken.
Oh.
And then they would chuck things at the cockerel until the cockerel.
Oh my god, that's really sad.
I know, but remember they were really into their blood sports back in the day. Remember we did that whole episode about baiting,
The
bear baiting and
bears,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, they were kind of wicked back in the day.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, at least they didn't bait the elephant.
True.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, cock throwing, ice skating, 9-pin bowling, sledging, winter wonderland, all on the river in the Thames Frost Fairs.
That is so fun.
It's so cool. If you go down in the passenger walkway of Southwark Bridge, you can see there's some murals on the wall, which are really cool, all about the Frost Fairs.
Wow.
You would have.
I
you
love
would have loved
that.
You would have done very
I
well.
would have had so much fun in medieval London.
Yeah. Cock throwing things at cocks.
Not that part.
Hello, mate.
Windy up on this bridge.
Bloody windy. You're open to the elements up here.
Yeah.
So you see how they've got some modern defensive fortifications here? It's a great opportunity for me to talk about the medieval defensive fortifications on London Bridge.
Right.
You see down here,
Yeah.
we've got Southwark. Do you know where the name Southwark comes from?
No, but I know it's spelled funny.
It is spelled very funny. It actually comes from the Old English meaning defensive fortifications or defensive works. Because this, if you've got to remember, was the southern entrance or the southern gateway to the city.
Of course.
So you needed to defend it. So running up to the London Bridge here, you'd have had a fortified gatehouse, maybe around about here, with a drawbridge that they could draw up, like you see in castles.
Right.
And you know what they put on top of the gatehouse to scare people away? Well,
What?
to scare people in general.
What?
Heads.
Actual heads?
Actual heads on
Oh.
spikes.
Oh.
On spikes on pikes.
Oh.
Yeah. And you might recognise one of them. You remember our mate, William Wallace? Sir William Wallace? Yeah, he was the first head to be mounted on a pike on London Bridge. Do you remember what I told you they did? That head, dip it in tar to preserve it, and then mount it on a pike. And they stick it on the bridge as a warning to everybody, do not rebel, do not be a traitor.
Wow.
And, yeah, so his head was joined by the likes of, who was it? Guy Fawkes ended up there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Thomas More as well, and various other people like that. So they all, another person that ended up with his head on a spike.
Who?
Jack Cade.
Right.
You'd never heard of him, but he led a rebellion in 1450 called Jack Cade's Rebellion, funny enough. They couldn't think of a better name for it. But yeah, he led a rebellion coming up from Kent with his men. They were very upset because at the time, Henry VI was a bit of a useless king and he just lost all the lands in France. And there was a lot of unemployed soldiers from France that had come back home and they were a bit annoyed with the king. So they marched across London Bridge, got into the city, and they ran amok. They started doing mock trials of people and, beheading people and getting really drunk and just causing a bit of havoc.
Oh dear.
They then came back across the bridge and spent the night in Southwark. And when they tried to come back across the bridge again, the Londoners weren't going to have it this time. They drew up the drawbridge and there was a big battle on London Bridge.
Oh.
Yeah, Battle of the Bridge.
Wow.
Maybe 200 rebels were killed, 40 Londoners were killed, give or take. But the Londoners really stuck up for themselves and they kicked Jack Cade out. So yeah, but yeah, how about that?
That's intense.
It is quite intense.
You didn't warn us about that.
Yeah, I probably should always put like a trigger warning when I talk about heads on spikes with the babe, but what can I do? Anyway, we need to wrap this up. I need to tell you what happened to medieval London Bridge.
Yes.
Right, we've got to go down here and I can show you something.
All right.
Oh, look, it's here. Oh, down these steps, babe.
Wow, these are narrow.
These are very narrow steps. Okay, babe, so we need to explain what happened to medieval London Bridge.
As far as I know, it fell down.
Well, the nursery rhyme would suggest it was always falling down. But basically, by the 1700s, London was booming. It was the epicenter of world trade, and they needed the river. They needed the river to flow, and those 19 arches weren't allowing that. And the other thing is, the bridge itself was incredibly congested. It took over an hour to cross the river.
An hour?
An hour. So it's like, why bother? Why bother paying a toll to get across the bridge that takes you an hour?
Wow.
So they actually knocked down all the buildings on the bridge to widen the road. And that kind of was a stopgap, worked for a time, but by the 1800s it was no go. They needed a better solution.
Right. Okay.
So they commissioned two engineers, a father and son couple, both of them called John Rennie.
Rennie.
Very invented name.
Where do I know Rennie from?
The Tommy tablets that you sometimes take.
Ah, yes, great.
Yeah, thank you, the Rennies. Don't know if they're related to that. It's around 1820s, the Rennies came along and they started building a London Bridge, which is about 45 metres to the west of where medieval London Bridge is.
So where it currently stands?
Where it currently stands. And that became known as Victorian London Bridge.
Okay.
And at the same time, 1820s, 1830s, they demolish old medieval London Bridge.
Oh.
And you'll never see the likes of it again.
Yeah.
So the Victorian London Bridge, it's still nicer than the 1960s brutalist architecture that you see today.
Yeah.
But it still wasn't as impressive and as quirky as medieval London Bridge.
Right.
But what happened to the Rennies Bridge?
Yes.
Well, by the 1960s, they now had cars, and the poor old Rennie Bridge couldn't really take the traffic from the cars. So they hadn't really.
They were too heavy?
They were too heavy. They didn't really future-proof. They didn't really see the automobiles coming along.
That's silly of the Rennie.
That was yeah, okay, fair enough. So by the 1960s, the London authorities were like, we need a new bridge.
Right.
But they didn't have any money.
Okay.
And so one of the things they did to try and fund a new bridge,
What?
they sold Victorian London Bridge.
To who?
An American.
Oh, it's in Arizona.
Yes.
London Bridge is
It's in Arizona. Yes, it's I can't remember the town, but some American guy, surname of McCulloch. Apparently, he was a chainsaw mogul. He made loads of money on chainsaws, apparently.
Oh.
And he was also a property developer in Arizona, and he decided to buy Victorian London Bridge. They took it apart brick by brick, and they rebuilt it in the deserts of Arizona.
Wow.
But this archway here remains, and this is a remnant of the Rennie Victorian London Bridge.
Wow.
Yeah, and if you know Oliver Twist, it's also, those steps there are the site of where poor Nancy was killed by Bill Sykes right there.
Oh dear.
Which is really sad.
Yeah.
But just along here, under the tunnel. That would have been about 45 metres that way is where old medieval London Bridge would have been.
Wow.
The bridge that I yearn for, babe. But yeah, that's it. That's London Bridge history. The best I could do anyway. How about that? All right.
Really good.
Good. So, everybody, well, I need to take the missus to Borough Market now to reward her for being such a supportive wife and listening to me. But if you'd like to see some more historical stuff around London, please do.
Like and subscribe.
There you go.
And we'll see you in the next one.
There you go.